Hello everyone, today we continue learning Python, and today I will introduce you to requests library in Python. So let's start. But before we start that video, I recommend you subscribing to my Telegram channel. You will find lots of materials, modules, libraries, examples and tasks on Python in my Telegram channel. Also, I post all the announcements there, so if you want to understand what will happen to the channel in the near future, you can go here. And I respond to comments much faster than I do it on YouTube. So subscribe to my Telegram channel, link in the description down below. First of all, it's just an introduction to requests library. The library itself is pretty big, and if you want me to make a series out of it, then you can ask me that down in the comments, yeah, and I will just make a series. Okay, so first of all, what is a requests library for? And yeah, first of all, let's install that library, because it's not installed by default, and to install it, open up your terminal, so win plus R, or just click here if you're on PyCharm, and then pip install requests. So requests library helps us to work with HTTP protocols. So its slogan is HTTP for humans. So we have HTTP layer, then we have TCP layer, and then we have IP layer. So we worked with TCP and IP in Twisted and in sockets. So AP is where we need to send our data, where data. TCP is how and using what rules we need to send our data, so how we need to send our data. And HTTP is just an extension of TCP, like that. So HTTP is used in web, actually everywhere in web. HTTP, HTTPS, and S means that our connection is secure. I think you understand that. So HTTP used in web. And so HTTP is used in web. And what we need to do? Today we'll work with HTTP, and I'll explain as much as I can about requests. So the first thing we need to do is get our website. So to get our website, what we can do is use requests.get. So get not a website, but web resource. And to do that, what we need to do is provide HTTP, because we use HTTP in requests library, HTTP, then semicolon, 2 slashes, and then what we need to do is provide a website, or actually any web service, or any web resource. So let's provide google.com. What we'll do is we'll get the page of the Google. So page equals request.get from google.com. That's it. And then let's print that page. Print that page, let's run our code, and as you can see, we receive a response 200. So what we did here? We got Google page and we receive response as 200. So I think you understand that HTTP uses status code. So the most popular status code is 404, which means not found. In HTTP we have tons of codes. So we have 100 codes, 200 codes, 300, 400 and 500 codes in these ranges, okay? And if your response is 200, that means that everything is okay. So you go to your page, your connection is great, and yeah, actually everything is alright. And by the way, HTTP opens a connection when you request some resources. So as you can see, request, when we request any resource, in our case is google.com, HTTP opens a new connection, gets your data, uses databases and so on, and then HTTP returns you your response. So you get a request, or you make a request and you receive response as a client. I think you understand that. And how we can get that status code? So to do that, what we can do is use status code, like that. And it will return us a raw integer in Python. So 200, and for example, if I'll go with /hello, so Google website does not have hello resource, hello URL. I think you understand that. And if I'll go with that, I'll receive 404 response. So 404, which means not found. What we can do? We can do something like that. If page status code equals 200, then we work with our code. So print okay, for example, else print error, and for example, let's print our status code. So page.status code, like that. Let's run our code again, and we'll receive error 404. That's it. But if I'll go to google.com, to a website that exists, what will happen? We'll receive okay. So yeah, actually that's it. If our page status code is 200, then everything is okay. I think you understand that now. But I think you saw parameters in your web page. So for example, in Google we have parameter which is called Q. Q is your question. So what are you searching for? And if we will go with q as cats, that means that we want to search for cats, for example, okay? And what we should do, how we can provide these parameters to our request module. If I'll just run, as you can see, else, or yeah, that's not there, but print okay, let's run it again. As you can see, everything is alright, so we got our cats page. But there is a problem, because if we just put white space is not detected in these HTTP URLs. But what is detected is %20. So %20 stands for white space. And there are also these percent signs in your requests, and that's a problem. And I don't think that you just replace all of your white spaces to %20, and you're human, you can just put one white space and that will be an error. But what we should do in requests is provide parameters. So we have lots of additional arguments in here, but one of them is params. So params, it's a dictionary that helps you to use different parameters. So in our case, let's use q as cats. What I will do, I will just go to google.com and then q as key and cats as value. So q key and cats value. Let's run our code again, and as you can see, everything is alright. Let's check our page. So page URL. We can use page URL to get that URL, but not the first URL, but your whole URL with all of your parameters. Okay, let's run again, and as you can see, we use http google.com, then question mark q equals cats. And by the way, if I just put cats on Christmas, for example, let's like that, cats on Crete, as you can see, we use cats plus on plus I don't understand why it does not put %20, but yeah, as you can see, I was wrong here, and if I would run my page, that would be an error. But if you use params, everything is executed in Python, and you don't need to worry about that. All you need to do is use dictionary, and you can watch my other video about dictionaries, and you should use key and value. Okay, now what I want to do. So I think you understand that with page URL, you can get your whole URL on what your request was made. Okay, then we have lots of parameters in here. For example, we have headers. So in HTTP, we have headers and we have content. Or if you know HTML, head and body. And as you can see, headers contain date, expires when our expires is for cookies. Cache control content type is text HTML because we receive our pages in text HTML. Our char set, and there are lots of things in it, and I'll talk about all of this if you want me to make another video about requests. Okay, so what we received headers, but how we can receive not headers but content? We can actually make it using content, like that. Let's run our code again, and as you can see, we receive B. What is B? I'll explain in a minute. B, then we receive pure HTML content. So there are lots of things here, and as you can see, if we'll go right here, so actually that's a Google page. There are lots of things in here because that's your whole page. The first page of Google you see when you search for cats on chart. That's your Google page. But what is B? B is a type of bytes because actually I said that we use HTTP for web, but deep down we use TCP, and TCP servers and clients talk in bytes. They cannot send dictionaries, strings, or integers. They only can send and receive bytes. And because of that, when we call content, we receive bytes. Actually, there is nothing. You can just decode it using decode UTF-8 or any encoding you want, but by default it's UTF-8. So you can find your encoding right here. So char set as UTF-8. And yeah, actually that's it. So you can decode that code, but what you can use is text. So page.text is your text, like your text of your web page. And as you can see now, we receive pure string in Python. And actually, that's it. So if you want to receive your HTML page in requests, what you can do is use text. If you want to receive bytes, for some reason, you can use content. That's it. Okay, then what we can do? We can work with cookies, but I will not talk about that. We can use, to understand your encoding, you can use page.encoding. And by the way, if you want to, and by the way, as you can see, we use ISO encoding. That's kind of strange, but I think that's because of my Windows system. Okay, so if you want to decode your content bytes to a string, what you can do is use page.content, then decode, and it's better to use page encoding because, as you saw, I use UTF-8, and that would give me an error. But if I run it now, it will use the encoding we made request with, and as you can see, everything is alright. So we receive our pure string, but again, you can just use text, page.text. And the last thing I want to talk about is JSON. So I had a video about JSON, but how we can actually use JSON. I have not shown that in my last video. I have just shown you how to encode and decode JSON and how to use JSON encoders and so on. But now we'll use JSON in the real project. Okay, in the real Python script. What I want to do, I want you to go down to the description and copy that link. So that link leads to JSON placeholder typical.com. JSON placeholder, so that website helps us to test REST API. What is REST API? REST API is type of an architecture that helps you to work with your web services. So to build up your websites, web applications, and so on. And that JSON placeholder, it's a site that fakes that thing. So as you can see, we use JSON placeholder. So for example, google.com, and then we use posts. So we make get requests for posts. We get all posts from our database. For example, if I use posts1, we'll get only the first post in our database. Now let's try to run our page. Let's run it. And as you can see, response to 100. So everything is all right. I got the first post on our database. But if I will call content, you will not see HTML. You just see pure, you see bytes of what? Of JSON, not JavaScript. So as you can see, we use JSON opening bracket right here, and so actually we just use JSON. That's it. If we will call text, we receive the same JSON. So sorry, text like that. As you can see, we receive JSON. And how to work with that JSON? You can import JSON library and use JSON words to translate the text to JSON and to work with dictionary in Python. What you can actually do is use JSON. So you can actually just use page.json function, and then let's run it again. As you can see, we just received pure dictionary. So what I can do, let's go right here, data equals page.json, and then let's print data from title. So the title of our post. Let's run it. And as you can see, we receive the first title. Actually, that's it. So you can call page.json to get JSON content of your page. Actually, that's it. If I'll call just posts, I'll get all the posts from database. That's not very convenient for your web server, but like get all the posts from your database. If you have 500 posts, it's okay. I will not talk about that. Not 500, but 5,000, for example. And so as you can see, we receive list, or we receive array. It's better to say array because we use JSON of JSON objects. And actually, that's it. So we receive pure JSON, we can work with it, and if you don't want or you don't need to import JSON library and use JSON module, JSON functions, because what you can do is just use page.json, and that JSON function will return you pure object in Python. So decoded object for your Python application. Actually, that's it. So that's an introduction for Python requests library, and if you want me to talk about that library even more, or to make a series about it, just write that down in the comments. Subscribe to my Telegram channel, subscribe to my GitHub channel, have fun, and good luck.